Mark, let's move on to our third subject.
Okay, our third subject today is the Benghazi attack. And this is a big issue now because it came up before the election, and then it was kind of put on the back burner for the election. And now Congress is looking into these issues and seeing if there wasn't some mishandling on what happened over there in Libya.
We're
right?
talking about Benghazi, Libya, and
Yeah.
we're talking about the U.S. consulate. It's a little bigger than what's being portrayed in the mainstream media. But what's happened is in Benghazi, Libya, we had an outpost. It was actually, Benghazi is actually the most renegade part of Libya. And our consulate, which are normally surrounded by bulletproof walls, armed Marines, literally tanks and anti-personnel weapons, it was a country club home that they acquired from the government. It was given to them out of some largesse. And then there was just a small wall built around it. This compound had been attacked twice in the 6 months prior to that night in Benghazi. And what had happened was our ambassador Stevens was requesting more security after the attacks. The Red Cross and the British consulate had emptied themselves already because of the violence in the area. Because Benghazi is a Wild West type state in Libya, not even the government soldiers that were stationed there were willing to put up a fight to protect our ambassador.
Okay, so do you think the Muslims will ever forgive us for putting on that YouTube video that incited a mob that killed our ambassador? I mean, can we apologize enough to the Muslim people and say we should have never put that video on? Because if we hadn't put that video on, as I guess who came on?
Well,
Susan Rice came on.
Susan Rice, our ambassador to the UN.
And the president said several times
in the UN,
we were sorry for this video because that video incited the mob. The mob killed our ambassador, which is an act of war, invaded the embassy. And, you know, how can we really expect those people to forgive us for, like, pushing them into assassinating our ambassador?
Well,
can we ever live through that guilt?
Well,
that's the question.
This is the mystery of the Benghazi story. And I'm not going to claim to have all the answers to this story. But what I am
But the main thing is we did put the YouTube guy in jail.
Yes, funny enough that the administration immediately arrested the YouTube, and he's back in prison. But what's interesting about this is that the day after, the president of Libya said it had nothing to do with any video. He said, what video? It was all about an al-Qaeda-linked organization that literally attacked the compound with some odd 60, 70 men with secondary fire, mortar fire. They came in with machine guns, rocket-propelled grenades, and they knew the compound.
No, I'm confused. Now you're saying that there was a video of a terrorist attack on the embassy?
Well, actually, it was live. The Secretary of State's department was watching the attack live on cameras that were stationed at the video.
They weren't watching the YouTube video that was insulting the Muslims.
No, they weren't watching any YouTube video. In fact, there was no spontaneous riot over a YouTube
video. No, but I thought the State Department was watching the YouTube video.
No, the State Department was watching the attack on the embassy, and instead of calling in the Marines, CIA, Air Force, from numerous locations surrounding Benghazi, including right 1 hour away in both in Tripoli, we had armed groups. In Europe, we had armed groups.
In Sicily.
In Sicily.
Yeah, in Sicily, you have the Delta Force at the Sigonella Air Base. That's 480 miles away. I think they get there about an hour.
An hour.
And I guess the firefight went on for about 6 hours.
No, it actually went on for almost 8 hours.
8 hours. But, I mean, if you're watching that YouTube video, was probably pretty long. Maybe it was a trailer. It was like 30, 40 minutes. So let's say
the entire YouTube video was like 7 minutes.
Well, let's say you watch. Okay, so 7 minutes. So it went on for 8 hours. So let's say you watched the thing 10. So basically, the State Department is watching the YouTube video of maybe 80 times or something.
Well, let's go back to reality here. What the reality was, the president of Libya said it was an al-Qaeda-linked group the day after. The CIA has reports that it was an al-Qaeda-linked group the day after. And then, 5 days later, and interestingly enough, somehow the prop called Susan Rice, who was an ambassador to the UN, decided by somebody's order, to go on 5 news shows and say it's all about the video that most people never even saw, never even heard of until they started promoting it. And what's the most terrible part is even the president went to the UN 2 weeks later and said, oh, it's about the video. We're so sorry that somebody in our country would be so disrespectful.
But I mean, can we expect to be forgiven by the people?
Oh, we hope to be forgiven
by the people,
and that's why we're selling our souls to the Middle East. But the problem is that's not the problem.
So the issue is like, was this on some? No, but I mean, you know,
we have conflicting timelines.
No, but the thing about this, you know, this is a surprise mob thing caused by a video.
There was no surprise mob.
Well, this is a surprise thing caused by a YouTube video. Now, why would anyone expect an attack to happen on the date it happened?
Well, you know what's funny about that, Mark?
What's that?
It was 9/11.
Oh, the anniversary of 9/11?
Oh, the anniversary of 9/11.
You're kidding.
Oh,
You're
mysteries.
kidding. You're kidding.
Mysteries never cease.
You're kidding. Okay.
The worst part is that in 9/11, prior to this administration,
right,
every consulate around the world would be more fortified because of 9/11. But
I'm sure they beefed up this Benghazi.
No,
consulate.
They cleared the security
out. I'm sure they beefed it up because, you know, if there was warnings and the consulate had asked for more protection, I'm sure it was a beefed up security.
No, in fact, what they have is cables from Ambassador Stevens, who was the ambassador killed. He was
a little more than killed, wasn't he? They did some stuff.
He was murdered.
Well, it was a little bit more than murder.
Well, there's theories of what really happened to him, but those haven't been officially released yet.
Okay.
But here's what happened. There was multiple CIA operatives that were a mile away. They were told to stand down. No, don't go. So instead, the 2 brave CIA ex-SEALs went to save the ambassador.
I thought there were 3 SEALs.
No, there was 1 SEAL that was located on the other side, but there was 2 that came across town. They disobeyed direct orders not to be involved, and they went to save the ambassador. And they actually saved about 25 people. But unfortunately, the ambassador and the 3 SEALs. Well, it was an intel officer, which is CIA, in the consulate. There was Ambassador Stevens and 2 Navy SEAL CIA operatives that were killed. There was 4 killed. There was approximately 14 wounded, and many were saved. And the CIA operatives that came across town saved those people. That's something the press isn't talking about. What's so scary about this?
Wait a minute. We have freedom of the press. But so the First Amendment is important. So we have the freedom of the press. So the press could. Didn't the press find some things after the investigation?
Well, actually, CNN went back. The FBI said we can't go. It's too dangerous. So the CNN the news company went back to the consulate, and they found the diaries. They found secret documents just laying around because, hey, the terrorists didn't know what they wanted. They didn't know what they were looking for. They just wanted to kill somebody. And it was 9/11. Oh, mystery.
Okay, but wait a minute. I mean, the First Amendment is good sometimes, but the First Amendment, this YouTube thing, that's the reason that the First Amendment shouldn't protect
First of all, the YouTube thing shouldn't even be under question here.
No, but I mean,
because in this country we can make any video we want to make.
But it shouldn't.
If it shows Muhammad smoking dope, it doesn't matter.
But wait a minute. No, the First Amendment shouldn't protect someone who's insulting a religion, right?
Yes, it can.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not. Maybe under this regime we don't know that,
You're
but
kidding.
the First Amendment says I can make a video doing anything.
No, but I thought if you were insulting, you know,
Muhammad?
Yeah, I thought if you were doing that, the First Amendment doesn't cover that.
I'm sorry, Mark, it doesn't cover that.
Yeah.
It doesn't cover that at all.
I didn't think it covered it.
And here's the problem. Here's the problem. The question lies in one area.
And exactly
it's not so much the act on 9/11, the ambassador being killed. And we have to end it with this, but I'm just going to say this. It's not so much the ambassador being killed. It's the cover-up that always gets people in trouble. That's what Watergate, that's what Iran-Contra, and that's what it's all about tonight on Law Talk.
Yeah,
so listen, we'll look forward to seeing you next month. And I'll tell you, there's a lot more going on